The Middle East finds itself once again teetering on the brink of war, a situation that has become all too familiar over the years. The latest chapter in the decades-long conflict between Israel and Lebanon erupted with a terrifying intensity, catching many by surprise and reigniting old fears. Leaving the world stunned and fearing the worst, the international community watches with bated breath, concerned about the potential for widespread devastation. The deafening roar of Israeli warplanes broke the uneasy peace, a peace that had been fragile and tentative at best. Their payloads aimed at targets across Lebanon, causing widespread destruction and chaos in their wake, marking a dangerous escalation that has sent shockwaves across the region and beyond, affecting not just the immediate areas but also neighboring countries. The echoes of explosions reverberated through the streets of Beirut, a city that has seen more than its fair share of conflict. A stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present threat of war. This latest conflagration is not merely a continuation of old hostilities, it is a significant and dangerous escalation. It represents a dangerous escalation with the potential to draw the entire region into a wider conflict, one that could have far-reaching consequences. The world holds its breath, hoping for a swift resolution, with leaders and diplomats working tirelessly to mediate peace. But bracing for the possibility of a prolonged and bloody conflict, one that could last for months or even years, altering the course of history in the region. To understand the present crisis, one must delve into the annals of history, tracing the roots of this seemingly intractable conflict. The relationship between Israel and Lebanon has long been mired in violence and mistrust, a tangled web of historical grievances and unfulfilled aspirations. For decades, the two nations have engaged in a deadly dance, punctuated by periods of intense fighting and uneasy truces. From the 1970s onward, cross-border raids and retaliatory strikes became a grimly familiar pattern, each incursion deepening the cycle of violence and mistrust. The 1982 Lebanon War, a particularly brutal chapter in this saga, left deep scars on the collective psyche of both nations, casting a long shadow over subsequent attempts at reconciliation. The immediate trigger for the current conflagration remains shrouded in a fog of conflicting accounts and accusations. However, what is undeniable is that a recent incident, the precise nature of which is still under investigation, served as the catalyst for the current crisis. Some reports suggest a cross-border incursion by militants, while others point to a targeted assassination attempt. Regardless of the specifics, the incident ignited the tinderbox of tensions, leading to a rapid escalation of hostilities. The speed with which the situation unraveled underscores the volatile nature of the region and the ever-present risk of miscalculation or deliberate provocation. As is always the case in war, it is innocent civilians who bear the brunt of the suffering. They are caught in the crossfire, their lives upended by forces beyond their control. The relentless barrage of airstrikes has reduced entire neighborhoods to rubble, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Homes that once stood as sanctuaries are now nothing but piles of debris. Hospitals, schools, and residential areas have not been spared, raising serious concerns about the proportionality and indiscriminate nature of the attacks. These places, meant to be safe havens, have turned into scenes of horror. The human cost of this conflict is immeasurable. Families are torn apart, and communities are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. Hundreds of Lebanese civilians have been killed, including women and children. Each life lost is a story cut short, a future unfulfilled. Thousands more have been injured, many with life-altering injuries. The medical infrastructure is overwhelmed, struggling to cope with the sheer number of casualties. The psychological trauma inflicted on a population that has witnessed too much violence is incalculable. The scars left by such experiences run deep, affecting generations to come. The international community must act swiftly to alleviate the suffering of the Lebanese people and hold those responsible for war crimes accountable. Only through collective action can we hope to bring some measure of relief and justice. Section 5, International Response and Calls for Restraint. The international community has responded to the escalating crisis with a mixture of alarm and condemnation. Leaders from various countries have voiced their concerns, urging both sides to de-escalate and seek peaceful resolutions. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency meeting, calling for an immediate ceasefire and a return to dialogue. The urgency of the situation has prompted swift action from the international body. However, the Council remains divided, with some permanent members hesitant to condemn Israel's actions outright. This division has made it challenging to reach a consensus on a unified response. The United States, Israel's closest ally, has called for restraint from both sides but has so far resisted calls for a ceasefire, arguing that Israel has a right to defend itself. This position reflects the long-standing alliance between the two nations. This stance has drawn criticism from some quarters, who accuse the U.S. of giving Israel a free pass to continue its military operations. Critics argue that this approach undermines efforts to achieve a peaceful resolution. The European Union has expressed deep concern over the humanitarian situation in Lebanon and has pledged to provide aid to those affected by the conflict. The EU's commitment to humanitarian assistance highlights the severity of the crisis and the need for international support. Section 6. The Role of Hezbollah. Hezbollah, the powerful Shiite militant group and political party based in Lebanon, has played a central role in the current conflict. Designated as a terrorist organization by the United States and other Western countries, Hezbollah is a formidable force in Lebanese politics and possesses a sophisticated military wing. Hezbollah's stated goal is the liberation of all Palestinian territories from Israeli occupation. The group has fought numerous conflicts with Israel, most notably the 2006 Lebanon War. In the current conflict, Hezbollah has claimed responsibility for rocket attacks on Israeli territory, vowing to continue its resistance against Israeli aggression. Section 7. The Uncertain Future of Lebanon. As the bombs continue to fall, the future of Lebanon hangs precariously in the balance. The country, already grappling with a severe economic crisis and political instability, is ill-equipped to withstand another protracted conflict. The influx of refugees fleeing the fighting in the south has further strained Lebanon's already limited resources. The current conflict threatens to unravel the fragile social fabric of Lebanon, exacerbating sectarian tensions and undermining the authority of the Lebanese government. The international community must prioritize the stabilization of Lebanon, providing humanitarian assistance and supporting efforts to rebuild the country's shattered infrastructure. Section 8. The Geopolitical Ramifications. The conflict between Israel and Lebanon has far-reaching geopolitical implications, threatening to destabilize the entire region. The involvement of regional and international actors, each with their own interests and agendas, adds another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. Iran, a staunch supporter of Hezbollah, has condemned Israel's actions and vowed to stand by its Lebanese ally. Saudi Arabia, a regional rival of Iran, has called for restraint but has also accused Hezbollah of provoking Israel. The conflict has the potential to escalate into a proxy war between these regional powers, further inflaming sectarian tensions in the Middle East. Section 9. The Need for a Diplomatic Solution. Amidst the escalating violence and rhetoric, the urgent need for a diplomatic solution cannot be overstated. A lasting peace can only be achieved through dialogue, compromise, and a willingness to address the root causes of the conflict. The international community must exert pressure on both sides to return to the negotiating table. A ceasefire agreement, monitored by international observers, is a crucial first step towards de-escalating the violence. However, a lasting peace will require addressing the underlying issues that have fueled this conflict for decades, including the status of Palestinian refugees, the demarcation of borders, and security concerns. Section 10. Hope amidst the ruins. Even as the bombs continue to fall, and the drums of war beat ever louder, hope for a peaceful resolution to the conflict must not be extinguished. History is replete with examples of seemingly intractable conflicts that have eventually been resolved through dialogue and compromise. The human spirit, in its resilience and capacity for forgiveness, offers a beacon of hope in these dark times. The international community must seize every opportunity to foster dialogue, build bridges of understanding, and work tirelessly towards a future where peace prevails in the Middle East. The alternative, a descent into chaos and bloodshed, is too horrific to contemplate.